Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast. Today we are strapping in for a deep dive into something absolutely vital for your safety, but, well, it's something you probably rarely think about.
If ever, right?
Exactly. We're talking about your home's electrical panel. Our mission today is to extract the crucial knowledge you need to ensure your home is safe and that your electrical system is performing well. We're going to focus on the panel brands you really must avoid and, of course, the reliable options you should choose instead.
And this is such a critical conversation. I mean, especially if you're in a house built, say, between the 1950s and the early 1980s.
A huge portion of the housing stock.
A huge portion. When we talk about electrical safety, the panel is your #1 defense against disaster. So what we're covering today, it comes directly from expert assessments. It really highlights why certain older panels are, frankly, time bombs, just waiting for an overload.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get to the future of safe electricity, we really have to address the past, don't we?
We do?
These are the brands that were historically, they were even mandated back in the day, but are now considered inherently unsafe. If you recognize one of these names on your panel door, you really need to investigate immediately. We are specifically talking about 3 main brands to avoid: Zinsco, Sylvania, and Federal Pacific.
And while they all pose a huge risk of fire, the way they fail, the mechanism for each one is distinctly different, which is what makes it so, fascinating and terrifying. Let's start with Federal Pacific Electric. FPE panels.
Okay.
The specific type we're worried about are the ones that use what are called stab lock circuit breakers.
That term, stab lock, it sounds pretty mechanical. Can you clarify what that actually means for the listener? Is it just that they clip in differently?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's essentially a design flaw, a really bad one, in the internal mechanism. In a modern panel, when a current overload happens, more amps than the wire can handle, the breaker heats up and it mechanically trips. It cuts the power.
It's a safety switch.
Exactly. With FPE stab lock breakers, that internal tripping mechanism is known to just seize up. It fails to trip something like 50 to 80% of the time during an overload.
50 to 80, wow.
Yeah. So they just hold the load, they generate all this heat, and that heat is what starts the fire, often right at that connection point inside the panel itself.
So the core safety valve is it's fundamentally unreliable. That makes the entire system dangerous by its very definition.
It does.
I remember hearing something about this in a broader context. What's the insurance implication here? That usually tells the real story.
It tells you everything you need to know about the liability.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, many major insurance companies across the United States will now flat out refuse to insure homes that still have MPE panels.
They won't even touch them.
Not at all. The risk of a catastrophic electrical fire is so well documented, it's so statistically high, they just won't take the risk. That refusal of coverage should be the loudest alarm bell for any homeowner.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's move on to Zinsco. These panels were incredibly popular during that post-war housing boom, right? From the 50s all the way through the 80s.
All over the place.
What's the specific flaw in a Zinsco panel that makes it such a hazard?
The Zinsco failure is often a bit more insidious. It involves material science more than just a mechanical trip flaw. The specific issue is the bus bars.
Okay, the bus bars.
They're often constructed out of aluminum, and over decades of heating and cooling cycles, that aluminum oxidizes really fast, especially where it meets copper wiring. This causes a huge increase in resistance and arcing.
And resistance means heat.
Exactly. The increased resistance creates excessive heat. We're talking enough heat that it literally melts the aluminum bus bar right next to the breaker.
Oh, wow.
And here's where it gets really interesting. That melting metal actually fuses the circuit breaker onto the bus bar.
It welds it in place.
It physically welds it into the on position. So if an overload then happens, the breaker cannot physically move to trip even if its internal mechanism is trying to work.
That's terrifying. It's not just that the breaker fails, the system itself actively melts the safety device, guaranteeing failure. It's a fundamental breakdown of the power distribution backbone.
Precisely. And that brings us to the last one, Sylvania. These panels, especially the ones with those similar stab lock style breakers like the FPE, are notorious for something a little different.
What's their issue?
Faulty contact connections. The connection between the breaker itself and the bus bar is it's poor. Just like with Zinsco, this bad contact point generates heat and leads to premature failure. But their design flaw also means the breakers themselves often won't trip during overloads.
So you get a double risk.
A double risk. You've got poor connections causing heat and unreliable breakers that are failing to stop the excessive current.
So if we just step back and look at these three brands, Zinsco, Sylvania, and Federal Pacific, we see three distinct but equally scary failure modes.
That's right.
FPE fails because of an internal mechanical fault. Zinsco fails because the materials literally deteriorate and fuse together. And Sylvania fails because of bad connections.
But the core outcome for all three is exactly the same. The home's most critical defense against fire is just deactivated.
That's the summary in a nutshell. They stop being a safety feature and become a huge liability.
So once you identify this liability in your home, the immediate question is, what should you upgrade to? Here's where it gets really interesting. We're moving from failure analysis to guaranteed safety. When you're replacing these outdated systems, what reliable modern brands do experts recommend, and why are they fundamentally safer?
Okay, so when it's time to upgrade, there are really four widely trusted manufacturers whose products meet or exceed every current safety code. And this isn't just about replacing the box on the wall, it's about installing intelligence and reliability.
Let's start with the big players then.
The first is Schneider Electric. They're a globally trusted brand. And specifically, their Square D QO panels are pretty much the benchmark for reliability.
QO, what does that stand for? It stands for Quick Open, which really describes their superior, reliable tripping mechanism. They're just designed for fast, accurate overload detection.
And Square D is often mentioned right alongside them, right? Are they the same thing?
Exactly. Square D is actually the nameplate you'll see on Schneider Electric products here in North America, especially for homes. We highlight their QO panels because they're known for exceptional durability. They have a visible indicator when a breaker is tripped, and they work. They trip correctly exactly when they should.
Okay, so when we talk about modern safety, it's not just about stopping a basic overcurrent anymore. The codes are much stricter now. Do these brands handle things like AFCI and GFCI protection easily?
That is the essential difference, yes. These modern load centers are built from the ground up to integrate AFCI, that's arc fault circuit interrupter, and GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter breakers.
Which are required in a lot of places now.
They're required by code in bedrooms, kitchens, wet areas. And these intelligent breakers can detect tiny intermittent faults like arcing and damaged wiring that an old FPE breaker would never, ever catch. They prevent common house fires before they even generate heat. The whole architecture of a modern panel, like a Square DQO, supports this complex intelligence.
That is a massive step up in proactive safety. So who else is leading the charge?
We also highly, highly recommend Siemens. Their load centers are just robustly built. They feature bus bars designed to handle the high electrical loads that modern homes demand. We're talking electric ranges, big central air systems, and especially new loads like EV chargers.
Right.
Their design gives you superior connection integrity, which minimizes those resistance and heat issues that just plague the Zinsco panels.
And rounding out our top four choices.
That would be Eaton. They're known for their Cutler hammer panels. Eaton provides these really comprehensive solutions that consistently meet and exceed all the current electrical codes. Their systems give you reliable protection, and they also offer the space and capacity to handle future expansions, which is key for a long-term investment like this.
So choosing any of these four, Schneider Electric, Square D, Siemens, or Eaton, it basically moves you from a known liability to a proven asset.
That's it, exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, upgrading is clearly not just an expense to mitigate a risk. It feels more like a strategic investment in the home itself. What are some of those undeniable benefits a listener gets by making this upgrade?
It's absolutely an investment in the home's entire future. We see four crucial long-term benefits right away when a homeowner installs a modern panel. First, and this is the most important one, is the reduced risk of fire.
The peace of mind.
Total peace of mind. Modern panels trip correctly, reliably, and with that integrated AFCI-GFCI protection, they stop a huge range of electrical events that older panels couldn't even detect.
That alone is worth it.
For sure. Second, you get better performance and capacity. Older 100-amp panels, they really struggle with today's demands. A safer, modern 200-amp panel can handle high-wattage appliances, multiple computers, HVAC units, and critically dedicated circuits for things like EV charging without tripping or overheating the system.
So it solves the current demand problem and prepares you for future tech. What about when it's time to sell the house?
That brings us to points 3 and 4. Third, a new panel ensures compliance with modern codes. If you try to sell a home with a Zinsco or FPE panel, it'll almost certainly be flagged during the inspection. That can cause major delays or force you into a last-minute replacement.
A huge headache.
A huge headache. Upgrading now just ensures the home meets all current safety standards. And finally, a modern electrical system leads to increased home value. Appraisers and potential buyers see a new electrical panel as a major positive de-risking feature. It also makes the home safer and more attractive to those insurance providers we talked about.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener? Especially if you live in Southern California, where so many of these older homes are concentrated. This knowledge is directly actionable. Copperfield Electric specializes in exactly this, upgrading panels in older homes, replacing those outdated Zinsco, Sylvania, and Federal Pacific systems with the modern, reliable options we just highlighted.
Right. We aim to make that transition as seamless and safe as possible.
Hmm.
Our core services are focused on exactly these high-stakes upgrades. We do full electrical panel upgrades and replacements, making sure your system is robust enough for the next generation of power demands. And we understand that these critical problems, they often show up outside of regular working hours.
Of course.
That's usually when you find out you have an electrical issue, right? So we offer 247 emergency electrical services.
And beyond these crucial safety upgrades, what other services should listeners know about if they're looking to enhance their homes?
We also excel at general electrical troubleshooting and repairs. And looking to the future, we handle the rising demands of home power with comprehensive EV charger installation for both residential properties and businesses. We help you safely integrate that new technology into your existing or newly upgraded electrical system.
And for those listening in the region, where exactly does Copperfield Electric operate?
Copperfield Electric proudly serves Orange County and the broader Southern California region. Specifically, we're local to Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, and Mission Viejo, as well as all the surrounding areas. And we really want to reinforce our commitment to quality service. We're fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Our license number is #1094740. All our electricians are background checked, and we stand by our work with a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
And that's so important.
It is. We're committed to being honest electricians who provide competitive pricing for such crucial safety work. Don't wait until an electrical hazard becomes a disaster. And I think this raises an important question for everyone listening. If you live in an older home, have you actually confirmed the age and the brand of your current electrical panel, and if it's due for a professional checkup that prioritizes your family's safety?
That is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? The simple act of just checking your panel's nameplate could literally save your home. Today, we provided the shortcut to understanding the genuine technical risks posed by unsafe Zinsco, Sylvania, and Federal Pacific panels, and the safer recommended alternatives like those robust Schneider Electric Square DQO systems. Thank you for taking this deep dive into electrical safety and crucial knowledge with us.